I documented everything, contacted the FBI. They really took it seriously. I wasn't sure they would at all, and I was genuinely shocked when the special agent called me back within a few days, followed up with me multiple times, asked me to send screenshots, sent emails, sent all my stuff, and he was really respectful and really thorough, and he was really honest with me about what my options were. So I'm going to tell you what he told me. Hey everyone, it's Danielle Romero. I'm so glad to have you with me here, where we talk about American identity and family stories. And I do not even have my camera set up today. I don't have any of my lights that I usually use. I'm just using my computer camera because I wanted to give the patron community an update about what has happened on YouTube. Before I do that, I want to kind of take you back through what happened, why I have not been doing videos on YouTube. I remember the day I was texting my husband. I told him, pretty sure I have to stop YouTube now. I had just gotten off the phone with the FBI, which is not something that you expect to say. If you were around during what happened, basically I had a few gentlemen calling me, and then I also had someone doing more serious threats, threatening pretty gruesome, horrific things. And I had tried to scrub my information off the internet like a year or so ago because I had people calling me and texting me and stuff, which I want to connect with you guys, but it was freaking me out to have people calling me like that. So I had scrubbed all my information, except these people seem to have a lot more information about me than is even really public. And so that was this extra layer that was scaring me. And so what happened was I ended up contacting the FBI. And it was really crazy because I had an agent assigned to me, a special agent, and he called me, and then he gave me his email address, and he had me emailing him screenshots and people's phone numbers, and I had saved voicemails and all that stuff. I want to get to what he said, where everything is at. But it's been 2 months or so since the last time I did a video, and I feel like I can actually sit in front of the camera right now and do this. I was really freaked out. And there was some stuff that I didn't share with everybody, especially on YouTube. And the last video I made on there, I was crying. Not even just so much I was so scared, but because I really felt like I was being forced out of my space. I truly believe that what I'm doing is my life's work. We all have things I think we are meant to do, and this one is mine. And I felt like I had to walk away from it, not because I was done with it, not because I didn't have any more to say, but because these men had made it, for me, I felt like I was unsafe staying in public. And I'm saying men, I know that these were men, not saying it's only men. I saw a lot of comments that were she's just going after men and stuff. I'm well, these were dudes for sure. So I also want to talk about something a little bit bigger, because I've been sitting with this situation for a couple months, and I realized that what happened to me is actually part of something bigger. This is not just a weird, I had an unlucky weird situation. What's happening to history online right now connects to this. Before I get back into my own story, I want to paint a picture of kind of the moment I think we're in, because I don't think we can fully understand the weird thing that happened to me without understanding this broader landscape of what is happening to history content online right now. So if you go to YouTube and you search for American history or Civil War history, or really anything related to race or identity in this country, anything like that, you are going to find a lot of content that is AI. It's AI generated. And I mean a lot. And I did a video on this before, but just a lot of generic stock footage that's usually wrong, weird voiceovers. There's no sources to everything, just made up. And these videos are getting millions and millions of views, and they're telling a version of American history that's, I wouldn't even call it a version, it's just made up, right? Or it's very, very one note, where things are exaggerated or hidden or softened or whatever. It's just garbage. I don't think it's accidental. I think there is a real coordinated effort to flood platforms with content that crowds out the more complicated stories. Not only that, but a money grab, right? It's kind of like a land grab. Except instead of claiming land, people are claiming time. People are being pushed out. Previously, maybe your ancestors had this experience in the US, mine certainly did, where people were pushed out of their original homeland by pioneers and things who were coming in and grabbing land. And I kind of feel like that's happening right now on the internet. Instead of land being grabbed, it's attention being grabbed. Okay, so keeping all that in mind, at the same time that this content flood is happening, creators, not just me, lots of them who do cited primary sourced work, women, Black, Indigenous researchers, or people who were telling untold stories of American history were being harassed, not just randomly by bad actors, but in ways to me that feels systemic. And so when we leave the platform or push off the platform or decide that the cost is too high, that space, it's like a vacuum, it just fills up with this AI generated version of history. And most people watching don't even notice that this power exchange has happened. Okay, I noticed it by taking a break for a couple months. Let's get back to the calls and the threats and the FBI. So here's what happened. About a year ago, my husband and I started getting phone calls from an unknown number. It was a US area code. Now, I had been getting phone calls from other people, but this one was consistently calling me and my husband. Now, my number, like I said, is unlisted. Obviously, if you're making content about race and American history, I figured out pretty early on that some people take it really personally and they want to let you know that personally, right? So I try to be careful about that. But this person found us anyway, and the calls just started coming in like middle of the night. We didn't even know that we were getting called at first because we turned our phone off at night and then I wasn't getting the notification in the morning. But then one day I picked up the phone to this number and they started referencing my YouTube channel, asking me a bunch of weird questions. And I don't want to give too many of the details, but my husband got on the phone with him and it got really crazy. He got really aggressive and just would not stop calling and leaving voicemails. And I didn't want to block his number because I wanted to be able to keep track of what he was saying when he was reaching out. While that's happening, I started getting these really explicit messages, really explicit death threats, rape threats, always included racial slurs against me from a self-identified white man. Maybe they're lying about who they are, but identifying as a white man and saying that they're going to rape me to death, they're going to kill me, calling me Pocahontas, all kinds of crazy stuff. And I wasn't sure if it was connected to this caller or not, because the caller, this one in particular, was extremely unhinged. And I was like, okay, now I'm getting these written threats. And so I honestly didn't know if it was a different person or not. I just started to get really overwhelmed. And so my husband encouraged me to reach out to the FBI. And I was like, okay, I'll do that. I doubt I'll hear anything. But that's not what happened. I documented everything, contacted the FBI. I want to tell you this. They really took it seriously. I wasn't sure they would at all. And I was genuinely shocked when the special agent called me back within a few days, followed up with me multiple times, asked me to send screenshots, sent emails, sent all my stuff. And he was really respectful and really thorough. And he was really honest with me about what my options were. So I'm going to tell you what he told me. Again, there were many people who have been reaching out, but there were two people in particular that I was the most concerned about. And he was able to tell me these were two different men. And one of them, the one that was sending the written messages, was actually living abroad. And I don't know if this person's a US citizen, or if they're a foreign citizen, whatever. And these threats themselves, he said, were written in a way that met the legal threshold for pursuit. Like, I could go after this guy legally for the crazy stuff that he said. But he said that going after someone across international lines is really long and invasive and can be really re-traumatizing. And he was saying, being honest with me, it would be really tough, he said, especially on me. And in particular, if we did try to pursue a legal route, this person would have more of my information because I would be the plaintiff in this case and they would have a lot more information about me. And so that was something to think about. The phone caller, on the other hand, had not given threats in the specific legal way that was required to open that door the way that I was hoping. It was harassment, right? And it was unsettling, but it didn't cross, I guess, the particular line that would allow for further action necessarily. Like I could, but he said it'd be a long road again. So I had a choice there where I could keep pushing, but he said any outcome wasn't guaranteed, or I could just make a different decision about how to protect myself. So I made a different decision. I really want to be open with you about what stepping back from YouTube has felt like for me, because I really haven't talked about it too much. I was so close to 200,000 subscribers. And I know that's just a number, but to me, this represented years of work, 24 years of genealogy. I just turned 40 last month. Learning how to do the archives, learning how to read the records, trying to understand the way American history has really gone down in this country, and just immersing myself in this. And the subscribers represent every script that I wrote at midnight, every time I sat in front of the camera and tried to take this big complicated idea and make it something that was personable and understandable to you. I feel like I had to walk away from that, not because I was finished or had run out of things to say, because the world itself made me feel like it was unsafe to keep going. And so if you watched that video and saw me crying, I hope you know I wasn't just like falling apart because I was scared about these freaks. It was just realizing what I was going to have to do next. But what happened, I feel like, was not just a random bad experience that I was unlucky enough to have. I feel like it fits this pattern that I recognize from the history that I have spent my life studying. We talk about the erasure all the time of inconvenient stories, the silencing of people who tell them, flooding the record with a cleaner and more comfortable version of the past. This is not new. This is what we see in the archives all the time. This is what the Racial Integrity Act was doing in Virginia in 1924. It's what happened when the 1930 census eliminated the mulatto category. This is what Walter Plecker was doing when he went through Virginia's records and he was reclassifying entire families. The method changes, but the goals don't change. And right now in this moment, I think we're watching that same impulse play out online. I know you're seeing it too. And on YouTube and platforms where independent historians and genealogists and storytellers, others, not just me, have spent years building something real, the algorithm is for sure suppressing this content, suppressing complicated content, and then the harassment is driving out the people who make it. And so I think when both of those things happen at once, the AI-generated, whitewashed, uncited, phony version of history ends up being the only thing left in the room, basically. That's erasure. It looks different than it used to, but it's the same thing. So I moved to Patreon because it feels safer. For me, the community here is more contained. I have more control over who's here with me. I see people's email addresses, their names. It doesn't feel as anonymous. And so if you're hearing this on YouTube or Spotify right now, I genuinely want you to know that I'm glad you're here, however you're listening. But I can't apologize for choosing the environment where I feel like I can continue my work without feeling like I have to look over my shoulder, like literally. So I do want to leave you with a question, though, that I have been thinking about over the past couple months. And it's just, who benefits when channels like mine, other channels, are silenced? This is not a rhetorical question. Genuinely, like, who benefits from that? The people who benefit are the same people that were controlling the census data, the people who wrote the racial integrity laws, the people who decided which families got to have a documented history and which ones get reclassified. Our archives, our history, tell us that story very clearly if you know how to read it. I'm still here. I'm still reading it. And this podcast exists because these stories, I think, they're too important to be left untold. And I'm genuinely not willing to let the people who want history cleaned up have the last word. I just have to do it in a different way for now. I hope you'll stay with me on the podcast, or thank you for being on Patreon, because I really still think we have so much more good work to do. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week.